I know that the American dream is to get married, buy a home, start a family, and live happily ever after. I understand it, I get that. But once I break down and decipher the illusion of what a mortgage is, you have a better understanding of what a mortgage is. Okay, so never get it confused that when you purchase a property, that someday you're gonna own it.
Hey, Grant Cardone here. Hope you're doing well this morning. I want to talk to all of you out there that are thinking about buying a house right now. Maybe you saw one of my videos recently about don't buy a house. Let me explain that to you. Let me explain to you exactly what I mean by that. I'm not saying under any circumstances you would never ever buy a house. However, I am saying to you that if you're trying to get someplace in your life financially, if you're trying to progress financially, many of us were taught to buy a home as a way to save money, as a safe place to put money, park money, so that over the next 15, 20, 25, or 30 years, sometimes when you go to retire, your house would be paid for, and then you would somehow have equity cash build up in the house. And that somehow would be a way to, one, save money, and two, that renting is expensive and the landlord makes all the money. So just to clarify the point, number one, I would tell everybody watching right now, 99% of the people watching right now, you don't buy a house.
Don't buy a house.
Let's talk about the primary place where you live and you raise your kids and you have your marriage. Should you own that or should you rent that? I'm going to suggest to you that the best thing you can do is rent where you live. Rent where you live and own what you can rent to others.
Rent where you live and own what you can rent to others.
Rent where you live and own what you can rent to others.
Rent where you live and own what you can rent to others.
When you look at your financial history, what do you think was some of your best decisions and the reason why you're so financially stable today?
Because I paid cash for every single thing I ever bought.
Huh.
Every car, every house. I got 8 houses now. All
You
cash.
have 8 houses.
I got 8 houses. I don't live in all 8 of them, obviously.
Clearly not.
But I got 8, and I pay for everything. I look at it like this. I was like, if I can't afford to pay for something cash, then I shouldn't get it.
Yeah. I got more than that now, but yeah.
You got what? You got more than that now?
Yeah.
How many houses you got?
Right now, 15.
You got 15 houses?
Yeah.
But just recently, you called me to ask me a very interesting question, because when we had our conversation last time, I told you that I don't own any property. That I rent. I got multiple. I got a spot in LA and I got a spot in New York, and they're both rented. But you called me the other day, and what did we talk about?
Me renting. So funny. So funny. And it made a lot of sense. I told a lot of people what you told me. Like, I was looking at back when I didn't pay cash for houses, some properties that I lost money on, like I told you about. The one house that when I first moved to LA, came out here and paid $2 million for it. The recession hit.
Yep.
And I ended up having to sell it for, like, I didn't have to sell it, but I just was ready to go back to Tennessee. But I sold it for $145, you know. Right,
and you put some money in the renovations.
I put money in the renovations.
How much did you put in the renovations?
I probably put like another 100 or 2 in the renovations. Then, like you were saying, closing costs, all the other stuff.
So you lost
insurance.
about $700,000 on it.
Yeah, easy.
Easy.
If you had, but like if I had rented it, I could have been in even though it was a nice house, but I could have been in a better house for less money, and I probably would have only been out of, let's say, $10,000 a month. I stayed there for 3 years. You know, I probably would have only been out like, you know, 300 and something or whatever. You know, and I could have got up and whatever the hell I want to do. Now, Like I was telling you, my daddy used to always tell me that. He used to be like, you know, if you rent, you paying another motherfucker's bills, this and that. And sometimes I think it's a cool thing to do. Sometimes it's not. Like you were saying, like I guess if there's somewhere where you be like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life here. I got a family, this or that, something like that. Probably cool. But see, I move like every 2 years.
Yeah.
So it don't make sense all the time. Now it makes sense the way I've been doing it, you know, because I buy them, I stay in them for a little while, and then rent them out.
Right.
And make the money off of it.
Yeah.
But as far as the ones that I'm gonna live in myself, I probably won't. I don't know about buying another house for me to physically live in right anytime soon.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple things that I think people don't realize when it comes to this, right? Number one, when you're filling out an application to get credit or rent something big or whatever else, they tell you they ask what your net worth is, and in parentheses they say, excluding your personal home. Your personal home is not considered an asset, it's considered a liability. Your personal home is not considered an asset, it's considered a liability.
Your personal home is not considered an asset, it's considered a liability.
And rental property is a whole different story.
Yeah.
But your personal home is considered a liability. And when it comes to personal homes, and then you were telling me how your father told you, you know, why pay someone else's, you know, mortgage?
Yeah.
And this is what we talked about. The problem with that, and this is on the Vlad Stocks IG page, this is always the argument that I get into with people, is that just like me, my parents told me the same thing. My parents have been trying to, you know, and I've owned property before. They've always told me, you know, as soon as I graduate college, I had to go buy a property. And I came, you know, my parents were extremely poor at one point, then moved up to middle class. Your family, about the same?
Yeah, same thing.
About the same thing. Here we are, we become rich, and we're taking advice from middle class people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we're taking advice from people who have less money than us.
Yeah.
They have good intentions.
Yeah.
Both of our fathers had nothing but the best intentions for us, but they just don't know. But they just don't know.
But they just don't know.
Yeah, because they didn't have to deal with it.
And like how we talked about earlier in the interview, it takes a level of experience and skill to know how to deal with bigger amounts of money. If your dad's never seen more than 50,000, 20,000 at any given time, he's not going to know what to tell his millionaire son.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we talked about that earlier. Like, when I was first building my first house, my first big house that I wanted to build myself in Tennessee, I went and got a guy that built my first little house. You know, and that was a $125,000 house. Now I was going into an $800,000 house, and you know, and he didn't know what the hell to do with that. That house had so many problems. Had so many problems because I went and got, you know, a $100,000 dude to try to do an $800,000 deal.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to do. I ended up turning around, had to almost redo the whole house because, you know, he got these cheap faucets and stuff in there that you don't really pay no attention to at first. You don't really know.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I was like, damn, like, I should have did way better than this. Like, I'll let this dude talk me into this cheap crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta have a certain level of experience, like you said. And it was a different time when our parents told us that, you know.
Yeah, well,
And they didn't, like you said, they didn't have the money, so they wouldn't know what to
they
do.
don't know better.
Yeah.
And most people who buy houses are, you know, their parents are telling them, buy a house. And here's the thing. Now, and you know, like you just mentioned, if you're buying a house and you're gonna stay there for 30 years and pay off the whole mortgage, go ahead and buy that house.
Yeah.
If you plan on staying there for 15 years, you really haven't paid off shit.
Yeah.
You paid off interest.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you buy it with cash, of course. But most people aren't doing what you're doing.
Yeah, most people don't do that.
Most people are paying a mortgage, and after 15 years of paying that mortgage, you're gonna look to see what that principal is, and it's damn near the same thing of what you paid. You're paying the bank.
Yeah.
You're paying the bank off that rent money, and when you sell that house, let's just say you buy a $200,000 house, you pay it for 15 years, and then you sell it, you still owe about $200,000. During the course of the life of that mortgage, you're gonna pay about $400,000. So really your rent is kind of doubled.
Yeah.
This is why renting is kind of cheaper.
This is why renting is kind of cheaper.
Yeah.
Because you're just paying, if you're paying $1,500 a month, you're really paying $1,500, but really, for the mortgage, you're really paying the equivalent of like $3,000 a month. See what I'm saying? Because you're paying.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like I was saying, the one that I was, the one that I lost all that money on that I bought, I could have had a way better house if I was renting it, and still saved a lot of money.
Yeah. The last property I owned a condo in Jersey, and I'd already moved out of it. I had a renter that ended up, she was there for a while. She ended up ending her lease with us, and that house had to be empty for a year until I finally sold it. And during that year, I had to pay mortgage every single month. Because the cold part, and I've always said, the banks, man, like housing loans is the coldest hustle ever created by the banks. The banks, man, like housing loans is the coldest hustle ever created by the banks.
The banks, man, like housing loans is the coldest hustle ever created by the banks.
Yeah.
Because you could be paying off a house for 25 years and you start missing some payments, they will take that house and they won't pay you back nothing that they've taken already.
No.
What type of shit is that?
It's like having insurance. You never know if you're gonna ever use it.
Yeah.
But you still gotta pay it every month. You gotta pay it, and you're not gonna get no change back.
Yeah.
Like my properties in California. It kills me.
Get out your pen, get out your paper, because we're about to go in, all right? The first definition we'll go into is mortgage, all right? Now, what is a mortgage? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it in your own words. What is a mortgage? Just think about it. And we'll go into the etymological meaning of what a mortgage is, okay? Mortgage, all right? First definition. The book I'll be coming out of is the American Heritage Dictionary, okay? It's a good etymological dictionary, and it breaks down the original meaning of words. And when you enter into the judicial system, this is what they hold you to. They hold you to the etymon, or the etymological meaning of the word, not the connotative meaning, or what people think it means modernly, okay? Mortgage. It says, a noun, a temporary and conditional pledge of property to a creditor as security against a debt. A contract or deed specifying the terms of such a pledge. Now remember, the word pledge. Pledge, that's a promise. So let me read it again. A temporary and conditional pledge or promise of property to a creditor as security against a debt. A contract or deed specifying the terms of such a pledge. The claim that the mortgagee or creditor has upon property pledged in this manner. And once you break it down, it says to pledge property by mortgage, to pledge or stake against future success or failure, place an averance liability upon, and it's a Middle English word, and it comes from mortgage, okay? And it means literally dead pledge, all right? Mort means dead, and of course, pledge means promise. So the promise is a dead pledge, okay? It's a dead pledge. So Look this word up, mortgage, either in a law dictionary or look it up in this dictionary right here. A good etymological dictionary.